people can join.
Oh,
Oh, Westley. Oh, not sure who those people are. Got some attendees here who will
oh,
just view the web meeting. Um, Let me double check if there's anyone else who's trying to get in. Who else is on this committee?
Mitra, Devin, and Jan.
Okay. Oh, here's Mitra. Hi, Mitra. Can you hear us? Oh, I think we just get the meeting started, and if Devin and Jan can join, then that'd be great. Mitra, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but we can't see you or. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I had like three invites. A few of them had expired. Then yeah.
Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, well, I'll turn it over to Lily to facilitate.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, we are missing half of our subcommittee, but I think we can make do. Um
Okay.
I think I think based on the email thread, I was seeing like we have started sending out the blurbs for the newsletters. Is that right?
Yeah, I can give a little update. So I think February just ended really quickly there. Like
Sorry.
it was all of a sudden the end of the month. So I did get a draft over to Danielle for the blurb for our next meeting, and she workshopped it, and I think we have a good template now then, and
Yeah.
we can use that going forward. And so I'll make sure that the one is done promptly in the middle of the month. And I am curious about any of the deadlines that Danielle may be aware of for those newsletters. I did. I sent it to Dan, and then because his newsletter was going out today as well. It was going out like quickly, and in his newsletter he has it at the top of the newsletter, like it's going to be an item, but then it's not actually in the body of the newsletter.
Bummer.
So I don't know what happened there. So but at any rate, it should be in seems like it should at least be in which one was it?
Planning,
The planning, yeah.
which is great because that's a big one. That goes to like 6,000 households and actually has a pretty good open rate. So it'll go in Eugene Planning. It's also going to go in the community bulletin, which goes to it's not really like the neighborhood associations, but it's like another newsletter that the city has. I'm still waiting to hear back from Cindy Kohler on how to get it in the monthly update that goes to neighborhood boards. So that's a maybe. And in general, the deadline to get it into all of these is, well, In Motion is the last Tuesday of the month for the following month, and then Eugene Planning and the Community Bulletin is the first Monday of the month. So
So if it's done well ahead of time, we can
I
get
think
it
like
all.
if you
Yeah.
can get it to me like by the beginning of the last week of the month,
Yeah.
then I should be able to hit all of them.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And so
So
I think for April, there's still like if you get it to me by the last week of March, then I can get it into the April newsletters.
great. Yes. And remind me, that meeting is the Franklin Boulevard, is that
Mhm.
correct? Okay, that's what I thought. And then, yeah, I know the template works nice, and I know that there was like a kind of a discussion around wanting one that, I mean, it doesn't, as long as that we can get it updated each month, it should be no problem. But we had discussed just wanting like a generic recurring one that could potentially just like live in. I think when we were talking about it, we were talking about the neighborhood association um, specifically, but it makes more sense for it to be tailored to what the next meeting is going to be. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I think it's gonna be, I mean, I'm gonna try to hear back from Cindy. I mean, I'll see what she says. I have a feeling that one's gonna be the trickiest one to get the timing right. Because
Okay.
like she sends it out to her board people and then they have to include it in their newsletter in time,
Yeah,
before the meeting starts. So um
that
we'll
one
just
might
have to
be.
see how that one goes, but that one might
Yeah.
be hard to do. But I think also like the template you have is pretty good. Like if you Yeah, just like go with that and just change the
Yeah.
meeting topic and the description. And like that's the only part that needs to change, I think, and the date.
Okay. Okay. And do you anticipate needing to send it through your comms, your communication folks every time? Or okay, that was just kind of the first go around and
I
then
think what I would like to do is vet it by the presenter
okay.
because this could potentially generate public, you know,
Yes.
interest. And so I just want to make sure that they are vetting the language for how their topic is being described.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. Great. Well, we have a plan for that for sure.
That's
I can
awesome.
add one about the neighborhood association newsletters, like the individual associations, they all come out at crazy different times. Like
That's what I'm saying. It's
you'll
too
never know
confusing.
when, and even if they say our newsletter comes out at this time, it could come out a week earlier or a week later because it's all volunteers and how that pans out when they're creating stuff and who's on vacation and all that different stuff, right? So I think you just have to I think it's a great place to send stuff out if Cindy will blast it in hers and it will work for some and it won't work for others. And I think that's okay. Like I don't think
Yeah.
that means it's terrible or I mean you
Yeah.
guys can decide, but I mean there's times when it will work great and people will be excited or maybe people will just read
Yeah.
it and go, "Oh wait, what? They're doing this. Oh, I missed it. What's the next one?" I don't
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that's
It makes sense. And I think for some of those that like we know what the topic is going to be well in advance, we can give it to them as early as possible. And then
Yeah, but
there's
in terms of like us, this becoming a routine thing that's easy to implement, I think we just need to like you get me the article and I send it to all the newsletter people at the same time.
okay.
If it becomes something that needs to happen like 2 weeks earlier for this one, like it's gonna get lost
Yeah.
and it's not gonna happen. So I think let's just plan to give it to me that last beginning of that last week of the month, and then I'll blast it to the people who send out these newsletters and like
Mhm.
it'll just get what it gets in.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. Okay. I feel like, okay, so I think the main thing we were going to go over this meeting is the PowerPoint that we had, since we had discussed like putting that on the website. So did everyone have a chance to take a look at that? I'm gonna send it into the chat right now.
yeah. Unless you guys changed it last year. You
Yeah, I
did.
mean, I was looking over. I mean, I might as well just share my screen, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was looking over it and it looks, I mean, it certainly needs some changes if we're just gonna put it on the website without any other information. Like, I think mainly moving the stuff um from the oh,
I
oops.
don't think this is the newest one.
Oh, is it not?
No. Where do I have it? No, because it was cleaned up to like match with our branding.
I guess hmm.
It might not be in that folder. It like on a Google Doc. I think I have it in a previous education. Here it is. Okay, I'll email this to you guys. Or I'll email it. Let's see, Lily, Jan, Bowman, Mitra, Emily.
Would we, Danielle, could you share your screen?
Yeah, I can just
And
share my screen.
okay.
Oh wait, this isn't it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay.
Sidebar question. Do we sometimes have like visitors to the subcommittee meetings?
Rarely, and
Okay.
I
We
have no
can
idea who this is
arrange
for.
visitors like that relate to our topic for like presentations or that plug in.
Oh,
Um, is that
I
what
was
you're
just
talking about?
curious because Danielle, I made it seem like somebody was joining us that wasn't, and so I was curious if that.
there are two attendees, Wesley Fisher and William Lyle. I do not know
Okay,
who they are, and they're typically when like they can join to watch, but they don't
I see.
um aren't like present panelists the way you guys are, unless they've specifically been invited to be.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
And on just as a side note on that, it's interesting because I did talk to Peter Fellow today of Oasis, who they did the art installation,
Oh,
and they Oasis just had an officer position created that by Peter, who will be attending all of the Sustainability Commission meetings. So to keep that
okay.
conduit open of information, which I thought was awesome because I told him, I'm like, no, nobody's coming. And he goes,
Yeah.
what? And so like he made it official. And then I did tell him what, might behoove them to look and see what our committees are. I don't think this one would be particularly of interest, but I did point out the buildings one might be something that they could sit in on and just learn and hear like what's happening and not necessarily be part of that conversation, but they can join and just observe.
Mhm.
So I just threw that out there that we might see those people in our committee meetings coming up, or probably again
Just
not
you.
this one, but be that I thought that was a great thing.
Which Oasis are you talking about?
The band Oasis? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Oregon
It's a
State.
U of O club,
Okay.
a
Okay.
sustainability centered club.
Great. I was curious because we hosted an Oasis intern from Oregon State, so I was wondering if that's what you meant. It's a
It's
different like.
different. It's
Okay.
different.
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of Oasis
Yeah.
Oasi out there.
Right.
Okay, so this is the presentation. Do you guys just want me
Okay,
to run
this
through
looks
it?
like what I remember.
Yeah. I have a new graphic for this.
I have a question whether you all think there needs to be like a voice narration that kind of fills in some of the comments like in the notes below. Like, would it make sense to have a video that you can take videos of like going through a slideshow and just having a voice basically like read these notes? And I'm wondering if having like a video would be more impactful and representative of like why we want this, or do you think it stands alone with just the slides?
Mm. Yeah, like a slide like this. Kind of hard without the notes.
Yeah, because it kind of, I mean, it's all relevant, but the context, I mean, there's no kind of like flow of like narration that kind of pulls people along.
So Mitra, do you just mean like just a narration recording, not a video, but like just a narration recording, like not a video of a person, but when you
Yeah,
click on the slide, you get, yeah, that's super easy to do.
yeah. See, I'm not familiar with the tech like options out there when
Yes.
it comes to this. I know like I put together a video course that I can sit there and there's a recording of me presenting my slide and reading it like with vocal, but I didn't know if there's a way to like have a vocal like
It's
recording
super,
come
super
on.
crazy easy. I just did
Okay.
it like 100 hours of it for the course I'm
Woo!
developing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
so
really
I
good time.
mean
I had to drink a lot of tea.
I mean that might make sense to have just someone's voice reading the notes with when each slide pops up.
Right. There's a recording feature in PowerPoint, right? It has a little red line under it, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And like
Audio?
I'm pointing it. No, like go up in the toolbar,
Record.
right? And you can, oh, I'm sorry. It's so tiny, it's hard for me to see what
Oh.
you're pointing at. Yeah, and then you can go to audio and each slide it's like how you create an animation essentially in a slide.
Oh.
Julie might know how to do this, but you just record the narration for each slide. And then people go on it and press play or however it works on the website. I don't know, because it can also be on like a loop and it just goes, and then they can also choose the closed captioning on the bottom, which is really nice too. Or you could just, because they're not actually running the PowerPoint, I suppose that, or maybe they are, I don't know how you're foreseeing this to work, but it could also just pull that up. And so that gives some ADA compliance as well.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But
So what are your thoughts on doing something like that?
I think it's a good idea. Makes it more dynamic.
I have a
Yeah, I
Danielle
like that.
question about what, as the city website, if you put something on it, like what are the ADA, do you know, or who to ask?
There's a whole new set of ADA
Yep.
rules we're supposed to follow by April, and we're like making
Correct.
major to our website currently because I mean, it's something like this could be complicated.
And
Um,
yes, because I'm in the middle
and you're
of that right
layering.
now. And a lot of things, one of the rules that for Oregon State has is for an eCampus course, and it's probably pretty standard for a PowerPoint, is that you have to have narration anyway. And if you don't have narration, you have to have alt text for every single image that's in the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of work.
Yeah, especially for like a slide like this
100%. You have to have
or
alt text. I
this.
mean, and there are AI tools that generate alt text for you for slides, which is of course a little bit magical, but it isn't always right. And you still have to have someone go through every single
Well, and the
thing. So,
complexity of this infographic, or even like this one,
right.
even this one, I mean, this one's fairly straightforward, but for a screen reader to be able to read this would be
It
pretty
can't.
complicated. No.
It really can't. So
I don't know. Yeah, or this even.
yeah, it
This
won't,
one's
because that's a digital image too. I'm pretty sure, didn't we take isn't that I know it's all stretched. I was noticing that
I
too.
know.
But I feel like that was a JPEG or something we put in, and that's even weirder because then you have to
And this,
just,
like, I don't even
yeah.
think the colors on this have enough contrast. Like, this was created before we had those rules, and like this white on yellow, like, I don't think that's gonna pass the accessibility test.
So some things strangely do if there's narration,
Okay.
but I would I mean, the eCampus at OSU is incredibly strict and super on top of it, of all the new ADA compliance. But that's a question for the city of Eugene or whoever is working on your compliance. Like if there's narration, then you can kind of just throw a lot of things out the window because the person is reading everything that's on the slide or describing it. And then that also comes up with um the closed captioning, which a screen reader can read closed captioning, or it can read it aloud in another form. There's all these options, right? So that is just be a question that I have that just to make sure we're ADA compliant, we're not throwing something up there that we're just gonna have to take down. It's not gonna work. And yeah, it's kind of daunting. Alt text is really, I'm completely afraid of it. I'm just like, yep, I'm gonna narrate.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this. I don't, it's going to be challenging to get this to meet our ADA stuff, especially since like we're like on my list in terms of the website, like I'm having to redo all of our or go through all of our pages. So this is going to be pretty low on my list, I think, to create a new thing that's kind of complicated.
Well, I
And
think just the very first question is if it's narrated, can it be the way it is? And then we can narrate it. You don't
okay.
have to. But
Well,
if that's our goal, if that's what we want to do, I mean, it's just a simple question. If it's an alt text question, then it's like someone would need to volunteer to make that happen.
It makes sense. I
and you're
think it
going to have
makes
to like understand what the ADA rules are in order to do that.
Correct. Like when it comes to a PowerPoint, it's pretty, I mean, there should be someone that can answer that question.
Well,
like if there's a PowerPoint on the website.
Okay, I'll ask our web guy and see if it's a straightforward answer.
I would guess that person knows because they're probably knee deep in all the compliance stuff.
So if the PowerPoint has narration, does this pass basically?
At OSU in their eCampus, they're meeting the compliance by because it's in Canvas, but it's still like a website, right? Because it's Canvas. So PowerPoints that have narration don't require alt text. They don't require a person's video either, like of their face doing it. It just is just any kind of narration recording. So that would be the question that would make, otherwise it's going to be really a big time sink unless someone feels like they want to go through and use the AI and try to sort it all out.
We could also consider shortening the slides, right? I mean, taking out some of the more complicated slides that maybe aren't as relevant.
Yeah, or adding text to the slides that explains it. Like on these, you could just like literally add in the definitions, so that you could go through and read it.
sounds like the driving decision about like the information that we're missing to direct like what we need to do to get this up on the website would be what the ADA compliance requirements would be. Because if just putting in more text means we have to do, I don't even know what alt text is, to be honest, Devin, but that sounds like a way more complicated investment of time than just narrating it because we already have the notes written down here that what we say. So that's the like if that complies, just having it narrated, that seems like the easiest thing to do.
Mitra, I'm sorry. Alt text means alternative text, and it's like a way that you can click on an image in a slide and it will give you a written a little window pops up with a little written explanation of what the image is and what it's saying. And like it could be decorative, so it says woman holding a baby or stuff like that. I mean, it's that detailed.
I
It's
mean,
like
it's easy for this one, but it's like when it's a woman riding a bike in a bike lane with cars next to her. It's like for something like this, like the alt text would be extremely complicated.
right. And it wouldn't
Gotcha.
even matter how much text you add to the slide because you'd have
Yeah,
to
you'd still have to.
describe the image on the slide
Well,
if
you
there's
could
not
just get
narration.
rid of this as a graphic and put in like, the four goals that we have, or
Yeah.
Well, I
two
think
It seems
community goals.
I mean, step one is just find out if it can be
yeah.
narrated, then we don't even have to
I
worry
have a
about
feeling the answer is going to be no. I mean, they've been, but I'll ask. Um, and if like I think if the answer is yes, I think they're still going to want like the colors to be, like this does not pass even just like someone who's colorblind can't see this.
who made that.
And so, I mean, my office
No, I'm just
6 years ago before, I mean, someone who's colorblind can't read this either. So I think, and those like they're
yeah.
coming, like Eugene's taking it very by the book. So I don't know. I think this is maybe gonna have to wait, but I'll find out if like with just simple narration, would that be okay? And then we can go from there.
I think another viable option if we do find certain things don't comply with the colorblind test is to just change out those graphics or, if it's not easy to change the colors, to just pull it out and just put it in text, because that doesn't seem like it's that hard. And I don't know if we can help with that or if it has to be you,
I could totally do
Danielle.
that work. I've been doing that
Yeah.
work for the last 4 months, nonstop. That is something I can do pretty quick as long as it can be changed. And if it can't be changed, I can just create a new box
Well,
with the right colors that is very
that
straightforward.
says that text, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like this is just an image, and so is this. I can't adjust the text.
No, I remember when that particular slide probably should just go because it's all images.
Yeah.
I remember
And
we
it's
threw
not
that one
really
in.
like the whole message of it is just like use your residential, like participate in the residential food waste program, which can just go right here. I mean, that's basically
Right.
what this line is.
The history, you probably don't remember.
No, I do. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
all
like
right.
the staff sent it, and
Well, it came out of the waste committee.
yeah, I
Did
remember
we
that.
did we ever add a slide from the resilience committee, like a
Mm.
graphic or anything to this that came out of that last year?
No.
I didn't know if that had been something we had intended to do, if it was just like, yeah. And then thinking about this, I know we spoke about this briefly in a previous meeting, but I think we need to think about the sustainability of keeping this up to date. Like, do we feel like this content is relatively evergreen? Um, does it, I mean, it seems like just since last year, there's been not necessarily changes in the requirement for the content, but like expectations of how that content is acceptable to be presented on a City of Eugene website. But I think we might want to put a little effort into thinking about like if different committees are producing content that we want to include as additional slides. Who's going to do that? Does the committee output need to be a slide instead of a report? Like just kind of thinking about the system that would support this presence of this representation of our commission moving forward, so it doesn't like cause Danielle or staff or whomever like a lot of trouble or time, you know. Does that make sense?
Mm. Well, I think like the highest level it could be that would make it the most evergreen is if it's really just about like the CAP 2.0 and you don't really get into the weeds about like what the commission specific committees do year to year. Because if that's the case, then it's quickly going to become old news.
Right.
So
So
I don't think going into the weeds about like, and the committee did this year, like maybe something higher level about the commission stands up committees on various topics, period.
yeah, so I guess what I'm wondering is like what's our why
Yeah.
of having this on the web on the city of Eugene? What are we trying to, are we trying to communicate with the city about what we as a commission do? Are we trying to be transparent about our work in a visual way year to year? Are we trying to engage people to come to our meetings? Are we trying to find a home for the output of our committee work in terms of like presenting all of these reports in a singular place where people can find that work? So, because I mean, I could see scrapping all the details of like what we're doing each year in terms of getting presentations. I definitely the CAP 2.0 stuff, like that's what this commission's about. So, I mean, I guess there's like a few different like routes we could take about
But
the why.
also, we have a whole dashboard that's about like CAP 2.0 and presents all of this information like this, like the slides 3 through 9 in a way that's like much more web-based and easier to navigate. So like if that's the only reason for the PowerPoint, I think that that's happening elsewhere on the website in a different way. And if the why is to like share what the commission's up to, recently, like that's also on the website already. Like your memos that you send to council, those are on the website. The current work plans on the website. So I agree. I'm not
Well,
really seeing like or I
no,
think it'd be a worthwhile conversation to see what purpose is this still serving?
yeah, I mean, I think what's missing, I guess, personally, is a snapshot, an engaging way for people to find like in one space who we are, like who we are, what we do, how we relate to the city, and then like if we already have the dashboard, like then I think we pull that out of it, and if we already have like the detail weeds of like what we're doing, but what it doesn't have is, or maybe it does, or no, not this doesn't have it, but maybe what we could extract is like our impact. Like, so what we are, the work we're doing that, like in our committees, like these reports that we're trying to put out, like like the report that we put out for the resilience stuff for the community and the report we put out, like the recommendations. So it's like that's something, and those are probably somewhere in all of the stuff that we did last year, but it
It's
seems
right
like that,
here.
no,
This.
what do you mean?
That this is where they can find that. But maybe it's not presented well. Like here's the output from that resilience committee.
Yeah, but I mean the actual like in a visual like graphic, like the actual content is, unless I'm just not seeing it. Climate Action Plan 2.0.
Sorry. Oh, are you guys not seeing my screen?
No, no. I mean we're seeing it, but it
Sorry.
was like just one
This.
particular, yeah.
Memos to council.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, if we use this as like an out, okay, there it is. Yeah.
There it is.
I mean, I guess it would work, it would make sense to question like what's missing from what, if we didn't have this there, which we don't currently, what is missing from what is there? Like why, I know we've done a lot of changes in the last couple of years in terms of making this look, I feel like, well, this was intended for us to go out into the community and talk to
Mhm.
people. So
Yeah, this
Is that necessary to be putting on the website if everything else is there? Is there some other thing that's missing that we could focus on? Is the like reading the stuff that we wrote here the most important thing? Yeah, I guess I'm just posing that out there to the group.
Well, I know the funding reporting is missing, right? And we're going to tackle that.
working on that. Yeah, that can go on here.
Hmm.
I mean, it could be an idea to like under change this header to something more like commission outputs or something like I don't know, and it could be like memos to city council, public facing handouts, or like we could think of a snippier title, but like materials for the public or something, and then you could pull out something like, this that was created that was meant more for the public so that it's easier to find. I don't know, that's an idea.
I like that idea. I feel
I
like
like it
because I
too.
feel like right now you have to dig a little bit to see
Yeah.
that that's
And you also don't know, I guess, I don't know. I think it might be interesting for people to like learn about how we work. Like that could be something that we could talk about. Like what we do in the beginning is like we're the Sustainability Commission. Here's a brief history. Like maybe just a very quick video graphic synopsis of kind of almost like um a tour of this site, but more like consumable in a snapshot, like easy. Because this is a lot of information and it needs to be obviously, but if we were trying to sum this up in 15 minutes, what would we include? And, an introduction of like like what we do, our purpose, how we become a commissioner, that could be of interest, and then, what that looks like to be commissioner, and then like the role we play as like this liaison between the city council and the community and kind of how we do that work and some examples of the outputs of that. And I don't know. That would be of interest to me because I know it is a barrier for some people to dig into all of these details and like time wise and just, so if I was just trying to find out something really quickly, but I mean, that's just my thoughts. Any other thoughts on that?
I do feel like that might be something helpful. I just think that like it sounds like it would take a lot of time to put that together, especially when it's like it sounds like it's summing up what's already here on the website. Like so are you
Yeah, that's
saying
true.
like
I mean,
filming a short presentation?
no, not filming. I mean, I just was wondering if we could just take some of the elements of the current slideshow, plus some of edit that up, take some of the elements that's already here on this page and put it together in the slideshow, in the body of the slideshow, and then narrate it to pull people through. Like, here's a little tour of the Sustainability Commission. Like, this is who we are, how we came to be, how we're assigned, how many, this is how our work looks like. And then that could be just a quick, it could, I mean, just like a slide with us saying that work, and there might even be a graphic in here somewhere. Because I think everything's there. It's just like, I guess what do we want? Like, what are we missing in terms of like, is it that not enough people know who we are? Not enough people know what we do? Not enough people want to come to our meetings? Not enough people, I mean, like, what are we wanting to accomplish, I guess?
I have a question for Danielle. Is there data about how many hits this page gets?
Probably somewhere.
I know. Don't you want to go find that right now? No, I'm kidding. But like that's something to consider with the amount of time and effort we're spending on this project is like truly what are we getting for well, how much bang for our buck are we getting? And I'm not trying to be cynical, but I mean it is kind of like where are we can we get the most attention to the sustainability commission, right? Where are those points really where we're actually reaching people? Because we could do this and put it on there and maybe 3 people a year look at it. I don't know. I'm just or maybe 300 people look at it. I you know what I mean? It's sort of like how many people are looking at this page and clicking um just as something to consider with how
Well,
much time we
and
spend on it.
I I also think what is the message you actually want to get out there? Like, because if it's a message that's takes, 5, 10, 15 minutes to communicate, that's already too much. And do people need to know how to become a commissioner? Like, that's not even an option right now. It's not going to be an option for another couple years or until someone terms out. And the city manager's office is already leading that process. Like, if the message is about CAP 2.0, like that's happening elsewhere on the website. If the message is like come to the upcoming meetings to give public comment, it seems like the newsletter function that Emily's been working on is kind of meeting that. So like what gap is there still to communicate with this part of this like channel that there is?
You know what I think is missing is the outreach part of like when we create a poll that feeds into some of our committee work and that is like a missing piece or informs directionality for us or like the outreach the part of people like giving us information that is something that we could, I mean, I guess there's a way to do that too, is write us a letter. But if we could create a way, like a simple poll in a committee to gain information that would help drive the direction of our work or something that's not as in-depth as someone having an opinion and writing to the Sustainability Commission, but us like finding something like like there's a lot of different thoughts about this particular topic of sustainability out there. This is a hot topic right now. We would like to know what our community thinks about that. And then like is there does something like that exist currently? Because that's really the part of the outreach work that we're doing at these like neighborhood association meetings that seems to be important to us is like the ability to answer specific questions and to interface with the community and like it's a two-way like a conversation, you know? Is there a way we could replicate some back and forth communication where we're like, we want to know your opinions about this particular subtopic of sustainability? So a simple like poll, like we
You
did
mean
with the
on the website or
yeah. Well, like yeah, could we put like a one questionnaire or poll on the Sustainability Commission page instead of a, you know, that would satiate, like, this is the Education and Outreach Committee. So we're trying to do one of the reason why this is a standing committee is because the outreach part and educating our community this is the part where we are the interface between the city council and the community at large about topics of sustainability. I'm totally not trying to drive this, but like people ask me questions about sustainability, and I think we engage as commissioners in conversations with the general public to find out like what the people's temperatures and conceptions are on certain hot topics, and then that like we bring that to the table of our commission. And in some ways we can put it into our work that goes to the city council. I know people can write letters to the city council, and there's other ways that they can interface directly. They can write letters to us too. But if we were able to like find a topic like we did with with the food waste thing a couple years ago. We just created a simple poll that was um yeah, the simple poll that was like, why are you not using your, you know, our food waste systems that are in place? I don't know about it. It's gross. I don't have a container, like something like that, where we could help deepen the understanding and the like communication that from the community. I don't know. I feel like I'm tripping over my words right now. Is that making sense? Sorry.
I threw something in the chat because I feel like we talked about this before a couple years ago, and but maybe I'm not remembering it right.
I'm not sure how to do a website poll. Is this like an online survey kind of thing?
That was my question.
I mean, there's a lot of different like it could be a cognito form. Um so I mean, as a contractor with the county and the city for the Fix It fairs, like we gather information that we need through cognito forms so they're secure and it populates into a nice clean spreadsheet on the back end. And so, depending on how we design this form, this poll, it could be a simple like question like what is the like something like, okay, what's the what's the most concerning topic of sustainability for you right now? We could break it down. They just pick one. So like telling us we're gathering information from the community that could drive like, okay, well, there's a lot of misunderstanding about like recycling right now. There's heavy campaigns going on right now. What can we do as a commission, like to clarify, or is there more education that needs to happen? Or like, I'm just like throwing out an idea of an example of one that we could do, but we could pick like one every year and just host it for like a year to just gather more information regarding topics of sustainability that could then inform our work in certain ways. Maybe it's a report that we put out. Maybe it's and it could be targeted information, like knowing like the result of the poll that we made for about the food waste prevention the other was showing that a lot of people didn't know about it. And that was surprising. And that the thing I assumed, because this was what was happening in my family, was the gross factor wasn't really an issue. And yes, that was a capture of 70 something people's responses, but um, yeah. And then maybe we could post that poll out through social media and it could live like on the Sustainability Commission page. And that could be a form of like education and outreach that doesn't exist for us right now. And it would keep us from having to table physically, actively, and have these conversations in person. Um, so it'd be a like more productive system of gathering that information.
So
Other thoughts?
I guess the question is, where does that data go?
Well,
Who manages the data? Like Danielle can't, is my
Well,
guess.
so I mean, basically, so we could come up with the like maybe the Standing Education and Outreach Committee comes up with the poll each time and we pick a topic. Like, for instance, is there a topic right now that you all think is something that you would want to know from our community, like what they think, where they stand on a topic of sustainability, like say recycling or something? Is there something like that right now that you all are
I
wondering
guess
about?
I think like, but to zoom out a little bit, like, because then I think like, well, there's the whole waste prevention team. And I think for a survey like this to be, basically what we're talking about is doing an online survey. We have mechanisms for doing that, but it's like, it takes a lot of time to like write a survey, get it out there through social media. Um, and it's for a project that wouldn't even staff who are related to that project aren't necessarily um like I question the functionality of this to staff, the usability of this to staff, and this amount of staff time it would take to execute to be significant. But I mean,
I mean, there's so many polls that we could do. Like, for instance, one came up in my work, which is what things would you want fixed at a Fix It Fair? What are your
mm,
top things?
I think the idea of the poll is great, and what you're saying is awesome. It's not that, it's like actual feasibility of creating the poll, and where is it going? And how do people know it's there? Right?
Well,
Like, do
so
they
I,
accidentally come across it? I'm just saying, and that's I think what Danielle's getting at is like, it's not the actual do we want to poll or not. It's like, how is that whole poll managed? Like, who receives the data that comes in from the poll? Like, where does that go? And if it's through the city website, I don't think it can just go to the committee, is my guess, but I might be wrong with that. Like,
well,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
it populates in a spreadsheet that's really simple. It's a simple graph because it would be a simple poll. So for instance, like if it was the question I just posed, what is the thing that you would want fixed most at a Fix It Fair? You would have like 10
no,
or 15
sure. I mean,
options.
but
Yeah.
where does that, who looks at that sheet and manages the sheet, right?
Well, it
Like,
would
where
just
is
be,
that going?
it could
mm,
just like the city staff would just bring it to this meeting and be like, okay, here's your results. And then we could write a report on it or something, and then give it to, I mean, because I know there's room. I mean, we exist for a reason, the commission, but that there needs to be an interface between the city council and the public. So that's the space this committee is working in. So I guess my point is like, where's the gaps? Like,
Right.
if we, I mean, for me, doing these presentations out in the community, they're great. They're just not touching a huge amount of people. And they're a lot of work for us. And when we're there, what are we doing? Like, what is the most valuable thing that we're doing when we're at those? Is there a way to replicate that on a larger scale in an evergreen passive way that would sit on our
mm,
website
mm.
page? So that's why I was thinking of a poll because I mean, I could personally I can make a poll in my sleep. I do it all the time. It's a huge part of my work. Not to say that it doesn't take a lot of work, but strategically, it's like that could be the work of this committee moving forward. Is like what do we want? What's our focus for this year in terms of what would supplement and help support staff work in waste prevention? What's a hot topic right now? What's a area of miscommunication right now? Like we could have a rubric for like what drives this poll, like kind of like we organically came across it in the composting. We had that committee. We ended up with our first committee meeting, had a Devron from the City of Eugene Waste Prevention team tell us we just don't understand why people like we don't understand why people aren't using the system. And we're like, oh, well, let's find out. So it could even be like we could say staff, hey, is there any poll or area of focus that you'd like us to dig in a little deeper that maybe it's not about a specific project and so you can't spend your time on it. Like how can we supplement that and support that? Because I think that's what we do. We support staff and city council and the community. Like we're kind of like a liaison. Yeah, I don't know. That was just my thoughts. But that I'm saying like that instead of hosting this slideshow instead of that. So it wouldn't be like both. Because it kind of feels like we don't need to have the slideshow. I mean, I'm kind of that's what I'm sensing we're finding out here. But don't like if I'm wrong, that's totally please, yeah, let me know.
In the interest of time, is that like something you could find out a little bit more about, Danielle? Maybe get back to us?
What do you want me to find out?
Like, I guess what it would mean for us to put a poll on the website. As in, like, it feels like there are so many different, because to me, a poll can be so many different things. Like, could be like an open-end survey, or it could be like, sounds like maybe some
But
specific question
yeah, I think I
maybe.
would want more clarity from the committee about what are you guys wanting to do then, because I'm not really clear still um what the thing is. I mean, I think there's been a lot of great ideas, but like what is the one that you would like to go with? And then
I think we're
work.
trying to figure out what's realistically feasible on the staff level. So if you
I don't
say,
think there's any, I mean, like, I'll be pretty blunt. I don't think there's staff capacity to support the commission in spearheading like its own survey. I think, like, I mean, yeah, I can understand the need. I see the value, but I think like it requiring me facilitating the commission to go to specific staff projects and ask them what are they like. I don't think staff view the commission as like necessarily having the capacity to go do that engagement either to the level that's going to help. So I would like a little more clarity around like what is it you guys do want to do, and then like what do you think you need from staff in order to do that, and then I can like take a look at that. But the I'm not feeling like I'm totally clear what the thing is that you want to do.
Uh, my daughter's on my lap. That's why my video's off. She just woke up from her nap. But what I'm hearing, and so because I'm new, I still have question marks around some things that I just haven't experienced yet because I haven't been on the commission yet, or for that long. So, for example, tabling at events and what that looks like, and are we getting feedback in a formalized way during those um, events, and are we taking surveys, is that at those events, what does that look like? Are there questions that the Sustainability Commission could put into a survey that would support, that would help staff across departments, like feed into some of those goals? I mean, being something that
I think there's
supports the
just
work.
I think there's like that takes a lot of staff engagement though, right? Like to get the messaging right and to like accurately be able to talk about the
Sure.
project or the thing and
Yeah.
like what is the city doing on that thing. Like that's where I think like that level of staff involvement is not necessarily something I'm going to be able to facilitate.
To me, it feels like when you go on the website now and you see the message, the Sustainability Commission button, that almost serves, I mean, it's the purpose of that is to gain, like people can say whatever they want there, right? So like by submitting that sort of public comment, isn't that kind of like a survey already, basically?
the way I,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I was thinking of it as a more targeted, like we are posing the questions about a specific topic. So, like, yes, people already can come to us about a topic they're passionate and knowledgeable about and give us that stream of information is open. And the city council has their meetings. We have our meetings that are transparent, so people can come learn about the stuff we're learning about and be present to this. But like I said, the like I'm trying to think of more examples. So like the poll that we made, and that was because we found out from city staff, we just happened to come like invite this what their perfect person into this committee that we had already formed. And they were like, hey, if you really want to help, you could help us in this way. So yes, that was easy for that particular instance. And then we had the whole time to spend figuring that out. Um, but there's other things like, when we had that ice storm and people, it was a hot topic. Like, what are we supposed to do that's sustainable and also like resilient if our electricity goes out? Like, that was a big question. So it was like a pressing hot topic. Or like right now with the new recycling in Modernization Act, I wonder if there's like a topic about people's like, are people getting this? Are they understanding the changes? Like, I don't know. So it's like it could be focused on a hot topic where we're asking the community, they're not telling us what they think. We're asking them an information to kind of help clarify. It's educating them through asking them or knowing how we can educate them. So if we're like, okay, you guys are doing this campaign about RMA, but it's still not hitting right, or there's still this big question, like how can we put something out there? Like how can we inform the city that they need to include this other additional messaging in their educating? I don't know. Um, I'm trying to like use examples, but that was just one idea. We could also go back to just looking at like maybe we take a little more time in the space and say, okay, ruminate on what is the gap? Like if we have the dashboard and we have our website, we have this currently existing slideshow. Do we need to put it up there? Like if it takes all this work, especially, like we could just go back to that plan, finding out if we can just narrate that and seeing if that seems to us like it's filling a gap that isn't already covered. Or put a little more thought into, is there a different gap that we might consider filling? Or is the way that we're doing it currently, tabling in the community, is that sufficient? It seems like there's just a lot more here than I think we were
Yeah.
anticipating. So we might want to give it just a little more time and space to like, think about. And we could also bring this to the larger body of the commission and pose this question of like, hey, what do you guys think? And we could put a few ideas out there. We could say, we're thinking of trying to put this up on the website. We're trying to, we could pose a few ideas towards them and see where they think. Or if there's one missing, we could send an email and say, do you think there's something that we're missing in general? I don't know if that's going to complicate our job here or simplify it. But it does kind of feel like we just need more time. Like, I don't think we're prepared to come up with anything right now. At least, I don't know. What do you guys think?
So I threw just a very simple question in, like, before we can even think about like what the question of the poll would be or what this different stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like the PowerPoint. It's like we need to know what we can do, right? I think that's key. And then if Danielle says, okay, you can have a link to a simple 1 to 2 question poll, like that is a possibility. Because if X, Y, and Z reasons or whatever it is, right? It's not going to take up too much staff time. It's not going to involve Danielle or going and pitching something to different departments, whatever it is. Like, first, we just need to know if we can. I feel
But I
like,
also like, I think before I go down that road, because it's
okay,
like, well, why? Like, what are we, is it to like, and then what is the value of that? So like, say there's a question poll, like, because the current poll that happens out tabling is like, what sustainability topics are most important to you? And there's like transportation, buildings, waste, da da da. What would the commission do with the results of that on the website? Or
Well,
if
I
it's
was
something more specific, like how would you go about finding what that thing is? And like I dropped in the chat, Engage Eugene is like the current platform that we use to like host current for the city to host like current open engagement opportunities. It's like right now there's like the Folk Street bike lanes. What do you think? Like the public health standards had a project page. I did one for home energy score. And like that's the current avenue to do that type of thing where you're like seeking out surveys and or like seeking survey responses. And it's quite a bit of staff time to like stand up a page, populate it, advertise it, respond to questions that inevitably come up and concerns that inevitably come up about it. So like that's where I'm just like I see where Mitra you're coming from of like the value of or the intent to try to like increase another avenue to like gather perspectives from the public. Um it just takes a lot of work to do that digitally, like via the website, in order for it to be effective. And like, I'm just not sure like how it would work. Like, yes, I could probably figure out a way. I mean, like, I guess maybe the Sustainability Commission could see about creating a project page on Engage Eugene,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's going to take a lot of your time. And like if you want to go into the deeper weeds of like on a specific issue like the RMA, then like we're going to have to pull in Donnie to help staff like that up. And like if it's going to be a different issue like electric vehicles or something, like they're about to launch their own engagement thing, so it's going to be kind of at cross purposes with that, and like identifying what topic you want to focus on and how, and then bringing in that stuff just seems like it's going to
Well, yeah, I'm hearing you
a bit of
say,
work.
Danielle, that we don't want to replicate like work that's already being done, and B, like, um, I think I'm hearing you say, how would we like we need to put a little more thought into like how we would get to the point where we have the poll, like, and then on the back end of that, what would we do with that information? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind about what we would do with that information is have a maybe a committee the following year, or an option for a committee to like, if we discover something through one of these polls that says we need more education about this, then maybe we could do specific targeted education or make a slideshow or something like that. Like, I'm just trying to find ways that we definitely don't replicate work that's being done. So that would take some due diligence in terms of checking with staff and projects and things that are being worked on already. But it could also be like, is there a way, like we could just have a simple inquiry email that goes out to all staff departments? Like, is there a way that the Sustainability Commission could like contribute to the work you're doing, or dig a little deeper into something that you don't have the bandwidth to do, like something like that? I mean, we might have to put a little more thought if we are interested in this idea in like the system that would support it, like in terms of staff inquiry, and then what we so yeah, I think like I said, we just need a little more time. But is that correct in what I'm hearing you say, Danielle?
I think so. Yeah, I think there needs to be a little more conversation about what is the thing and how would it work
Mhm.
operationally.
Yeah, systematically. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, I guess we need to figure out whether we want to think more about that, continue on the path of the slideshow, or abandon both of those things and think of something else, or like anything. Yeah. What are you all feeling right now after these conversations today?
I think that it sounds really simple to have a poll, but when we're doing it through the city of Eugene, and you know what I mean, as opposed to like maybe the Fix It Fair or other polls I've done for neighborhood associations, it's not simple and straightforward, and it involves a lot of components that isn't the same as what, you know, the way that we do it in our smaller groups, in our smaller systems. Because I've done one for leaf blowers for the neighborhood association. It was a Google poll. It was super easy. And we just sent it out in the newsletter and everybody looked at it and then we deleted it. Right. It was like
Yeah.
very straightforward, but there's so many moving parts when and rules and actual paid staff hours that are like taxpayer dollars that we have to really be mindful of like what our experiences in our other life, and then going through a bureaucracy that's like the city that we have to
Mhm.
work with. So what came to my mind when Danielle said, oh, having a sustainability project page, that made me go, ooh, this sounds like a work plan item for next year's, potentially for next year's outreach committee, like going, hey, how can we make something like that come together? I don't think we're going to be able to make that to come together this year in this committee, but I don't, or this permutation of the committee, but maybe that's something that could be like a focus.
But that's like a how or a what.
Yeah.
After you've
Yeah, you
already
want
just figured out the why and
the
like what
why.
is the goal.
Yeah. I know. I hear you.
Um,
I hear you. And I think just to, I mean, to Mitra's point, I like if people go to it, if people answer it, you know, um, the the idea is opening up, trying to find another
mhm,
road to open up that two-way
mhm.
conversation instead of it always being this one way where like slideshow, one way, right?
Yeah.
Tabling is like our only way we've been able to figure out a two-way.
Yeah, or public comment is another two-way that's been
Correct.
like I think we'll see if the newsletters generate, more participation there.
Correct. But I just think that's the goal would just be an expansion of the two-way.
Yeah. Yeah. The goal would be, you have to know how the system works already. Bye, Emily. um to engage with our current two-way, like there's not a like simple, like you either have to know about us and take the effort to write in or be present at one of the meetings. You have, there's a lot. It's kind of like, I guess, removing barriers is what I'm kind of looking at, to make simple two-way engagement or simple inquiry, to remove some of the barriers and make communication with us more accessible. um and like, to not, people don't have to have a really strong opinion. Maybe they don't know they have opinion. Maybe they have confusion and they're not going to reach out to the commission and be like, I'm confused about this, but it could be more like, we've been hearing like there's confusion about this. Let help us clarify that. And like, I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea of, if there is an existing like the Engage Eugene, if that's a home for this type of interaction to take place already, where there's some give and take and
Well,
communication.
there is, but I think my point with that was like, so okay, I understand the why. It's good. Do they develop more two-way streams? But then it's like the what. And if it's like on more specific thing for the commission to be the lead on engaging about specific things like why aren't people composting, or what's still missing, how can we better advertise RMA, or like that sort of, those like engagement themes are all like staff would, like in an official way, staff would be leading that. Like for
Right.
the commission to host a Engage Eugene project page about the Recycling Modernization Act without
No,
Donnie's team like
no. Well, I'm not
leading
saying
that, then it would just be like really
I,
at cross purposes.
I'm saying we wouldn't be replicating work that's already
You're
been
right.
done. It would have to be the gaps. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is we're not filling all the gaps. There are gaps. I think the commissioners hear those gaps every day when we walk around and talk to people. And when we go to these events, we hear these gaps. People have questions. And so it's about engaging people in these conversations that don't feel informed and that aren't these official topics that city staff is working on. Like something as simple as like, what type of thing would you want fixed at a Fix It fair? You work with Donnie about that. I don't think, you know, we've done specific inquiry about that. That would be very helpful. It would make a city program more impactful and it would drive our work. And I just feel like there's a lot of these kind of simple gaps, these simple questions that we could plug in. And in responding to what I'm hearing you say, how we would find those what's, I don't know. That's the system we
Yeah.
kind of have to look into. We have to put a little more thought into that, like how we would find and discover these gaps, but they do exist. And I think that's where we live as the sustainability commissioners. I feel like that's my goal as a commissioner, is to try to identify those gaps and try to focus on them, educate people where they don't feel educated, um, listen to people where they don't feel listened to, and like find a way to bring that information to the other party in a way that is helpful and impactful. So how we would find those gaps, that's the big question I'm hearing you say, Danielle. We can't just sit there and mass email all city staff and be like, hey, where's the gaps? Or
Mm.
like, what are you working on? What are you not working on? What do you wish you were working on? Maybe there's a way. But I do think we need to put more thought into that. So, yeah. But I do like that space, like that idea. And I mean, I'm not in any way trying to steamroll it, but if other people like, the slideshow idea,
I don't
I mean, this
I
is
don't even
all,
know if it's that. To me it just seems like it's a feasibility
yeah,
question as well.
yeah,
There's a really big question there for feasibility. But I'm all about anything that's the two-way. I think that could be great. And but I do think, Lily, we should maybe table this because it's like 20 after 4 and we're gonna all turn into
Yeah.
pumpkins here pretty quick, or
oh
we already are
yeah, I'm so
pumpkins.
sorry, you guys.
No, that's okay. Um,
Well, if
Yeah,
I could say the next thing, I think the commission should go back to the list of what things are currently the committee that you guys were you guys were working on getting the green fund things up. You wanted to like do biographies. You wanted to pick
right.
4 items to events to table. Like I think focus on those tangible things that have already been agreed on by this committee as being like good next steps, like
Yeah.
before a whole nother conversation about a new thing is discussed.
yeah,
Right.
that makes
So
sense.
that's what I was suggesting. Table it until the other stuff gets done. Because we don't even know if this can be done, but we know what the other things can, to Daniel's point. And I did the things. I did the things.
Hey.
Well, I
So
think let's have a conversation next month about like where do you want that to live on the website?
okay.
Do other people want to review it? And like I think there's another 15-minute or so conversation that needs to happen before it's ready to go on the website.
Okay. So I only sent it to you and Lily just because I was like looking for um like feedback a little bit, but we can share it with the whole group, what I wrote up, and then we can decide what everyone wants to do with it.
Thank you all. I'm so sorry if I like drew that out a little too long, but yeah. Thank you for
It's great. That's what the
everything.
space is for.
All right. Um, I have to go. I have a meeting at 4:30. I didn't even realize the time, but thank you. Thanks,
All
everyone.
righty.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Uh,
Bye, you guys.
Thank you,
I'm gonna go.
Danielle.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.